Hi everyone, welcome to today's Bonsai. On today's episode, I've got a boot tray that's going to be the new home of my larch forest. I'm going to make a tray or a pot, combination tray pot, for my larch forest. A few episodes back, we did some late fall pruning on my larch for a large forest. I believe I have 5 trees, if memory serves me right. We trimmed them all up, and we're going to make a forest out of the larch trees, the tamaracks that I got from my local nursery. I went to one of my big box stores, and I found this boot tray a couple of weeks back, and I liked how solid it was. It's a really good material, and I use it in my plant room. And it's catching all the water, and I've got my plants in there, and it's really nice. Holds several plants. And then I looked at it and I was like, this is a great size for a flat tray for my larch forest. So I went back to that box store and I bought a couple more. These were $6.88 each. I think a year ago I looked at them, they were 10 bucks, and I passed on them, and then they were gone, and I went, oh, what an idiot. So I picked up a couple more. So I have one even back over here. So I have a couple of trays. They're great for in your plant room to catch all that water. You can even put some of those plastic grates on there to raise your plants even higher off the water. This is 2 inches in depth here, so it holds a lot of water. Then it keeps that moisture in your room for better humidity. My only concern about this as a pot is it has all these fancy squiggly designs. Well, that's designed to have your boots on here, boot tray that it is, and then the snow melts in there, and then it doesn't touch the bottom of your boot anymore. One trip out in the snow, if the kids put their boots in here, this would be like totally wet in here. I don't want water to sit in there to create any problem for my larch. Now, I think larch will do pretty well with a lot of watering, kind of like my willows. The larch that I collected were growing in bogs, solid water. So my larch, the tamaracks, I know do decent in water, so this isn't going to be a big concern. But I'll of course cut a lot of drain holes in here to make sure that water doesn't sit in there too much, right? So we'll have to figure out how the drainage holes are drilled later on. So essentially, what we're going to do is I've got some decking board that's nice and thin, and the nice thing about this boot tray is it has about it's a little over a 1/2 inch lip that's going to sit right on the nice boards here, decking boards. And so I need to put, of course, them on 4 sides, and that's my main, going to be my main pot. Now, these boards are too thick, right? Yeah. I only need 2 inches of this almost 6-inch board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this basically in half. I'm going to make 2 cuts down my table saw so they're the exact same length. So I'm going to cut off one side, flip it over, cut off the other side, so I have good, nice, straight edges, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to keep the curved side for a little fanciness on top, flat on the bottom. So I'll cut it through the table saw this way, and then I'll cut it through it this way, and then I will have the exact width I want times 2, cut up those pieces to fit the measurements, and I'm good to go. And this will sit on either side, like that. We'll put them together, and then we'll put some cross beams on the bottom to support it all, and to support the underneath of the tray, because it is, you know, it's a little wobbly. If you had a heavy tree in here, it's gonna bend a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna get some bending in there, especially in the inside part. So we'll support the bottom as well. So we have to make our measurements and then start doing some cutting. The first thing I need to measure is how tall of a pot are we gonna have? Now, I don't want a 6-inch deep pot. Well, it can't be because it's only 2 inches in the boot tray, right? So, but I want it to be a nice, 3-inch or so pot. And so this basically cutting this in half. Yeah, we got 5 7/8. So these will be just under 3 inches, which will be just enough to cover up all the blackness of the tray, and we should be good to go. So I just need to cut off the slightest amount to make this about 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. I want to keep the rounded edge on one side for the top, and then the bottom side will be flat. So let's go ahead, and we've got 5 3/4. So 2.5 and 2.5 would be 5. 2 3/4 and 2 3/4 would be 4, 5.5. So we want a 2 3/4 inch. We want a 2 3/4 inch cut. So I have to bring the blade up, and I'm going to go ahead and measure 2 3/8. So I got my guide bar here on the table saw. We got the saw right there, and we said we want this to be about 2 3/4. And right about there is 2 3/4. Just a scotch over, just for some extra. And 2 3/4 with a scotch extra is going to be just fine according to my wood. So 2 3/4, right about there. So I'm going to measure from the top part of my board, and I'm at 7 15/16, and I'm at 7 15/16, which tells me that this is nice and straight, and I can put my boards through, and we'll get a nice even cut. We've got 2 6-inch pieces of wood. We got to shove them all through twice each. 2 pieces of wood. Let's start cutting. If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times. Measure twice and cut once. So we're going to double check the thickness of my wood. I've got 4 and a little more than 3/4. 4 3/4. So 2 3/4 and 2 3/4 will be 2 and 2 is 4, 5.5. That's plenty of wood with extra wood over. So we said 2.5, 2 3/4 was just fine. Right there. We could even go another 1/8 of inch and we'd be safe. Another 1/8 of an inch and we'd be safe, wouldn't we? Because there's 5.5, and we still have 2 more 1/8. And yeah, it's cutting it too close. I'm going to leave it where it's at. I could go a 1/16 more, but I like how this is all measured up to go. We are ready to turn it on and cut away. Setting these two up side by side, the difference in height is minimal. If it's anything, it's the width of the blade. So if I run through one more time this way, I will cut off just the width of the blade, which is just the difference, and we'll be all equal. Right half, left half. And they're actually right perfect with each other right now. So I think we got one pot with this size, which is just about a 1/16 inch thicker than this size, and I've got enough to make 2 pots if I have enough for the width and the length. That'll be the crucial part. Let's do some measuring. When I put this together, whenever I make my pots, I always want the front of the pot to not have drills in there so you can see the drills. And I could poke the drills in a little bit further in the wood, then put some wood putty on there, and then when I stain everything, I could do that. And that's if I put it like this, and then that's the front. And you drill it, and I don't want to see the drill hole. So I could put it like this, and then I see the edge of the wood as the 2 pieces come together, and that's not as nice and flush like that. What I've opted to do for some of my bonsai, for the main frame, is to glue the front on, or to put a double thickness on the, I put a piece of wood on this side. I put the bonsai tray together, and then I put a little facial piece on here and glue it on. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to miter these. I'm going to cut them at that 45-degree angle to make a picture frame as the main design. But then the underneath portion, when I have support wood on here at the underneath side, I will attach the wood with supports going across the bottom so it holds everything together. That way I don't have to worry about the glue not being strong enough to hold this big of a pot with this heavy of trees when I'm going to have 5 larch in there for the forest. So it's going to sit in there just like that, but I got to have a nice little miter here so I can get a real nice corner. So we have to be super careful with our measurements. I always mess this up, so I have to go super slow and measure 2 and 3 times. So the tray on the outside, the outer section is 35 inches. But, as I mentioned before, if not, I'll mention it again, this lip is a little over a half an inch. It's about 5/8, or maybe it's more like 9/16. Just over a half. Yeah, not just barely over a half. It's closer to a half than over a half. So that's a ½ inch on this side and a ½ inch on this side. That's 1 full inch that I have to make my box smaller because it's going to be on the inside. A ½ inch smaller on either side. The bottom of the tray is 33, but then it fans out to about 34. It fans out an inch. But if I measure from the bottom where it fans out to where the bottom of the fans out is 33 3/4. It's another good way to measure. From the bottom of where it fans out there to the bottom of where it fans out here, it's a, oh boy, 33 3/4, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. 33 3/4. Okay? So when I think of mitering this, 33 3/4. That's the inside dimension to the inside dimension, so it fits. So if I cut this at a 45-degree angle this way, and this at a 45-degree angle this way, yeah, both going in, the bottom section has to be 33 3/4. From wherever I cut it, it's got to be 33 3/4, maybe plus 1/16 of an inch. And so the top is going to be more like 34 3/4. So we got to set up the circular saw and get to business. I drew this out on paper because I had to get my head around. This is my piece down here. Bird's eye view looking down. I'm going to have the 45-degree angle here to make that picture frame connection. So this would be the coming board up here. So we'd have the board coming up here. So the inside of the 45-degree angle to the other inside of the 45-degree angle has to be 33 3/4 from there to there, because the size of the tray has to fit in right there, because there's your square, boom, 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 and right there. So the inside dimensions have to be 33 3/4 inch, maybe a tad bigger. If it's a snug fit, I'm not so worried about that. Time to measure twice and cut once. From the bottom there to where it fans out there, 33 3/4. Because my thing is so crooked, I'm going to do this and double check with this. 33 3/4 it's going to be. 33 3/4. Now I have that 45-degree angle to cut this side of the wood. So the first one I have to cut just so I have a flush side. I have to get a nice piece cut to start with. So here we go. I have my nice 45-degree cut. I notice my wood's a little bit choppy on that side, so I'm going to go in a little bit further so I get a cleaner piece of wood, because we want that to look super nice in the final product. Now, I have to bring this back around to the other side for 45-degree angle to get the other side so we have them on the right sides. Both angling in. We want them to angle in. But before I make that cut, now I have to make my measurement. That's going to be super accurate. And we have to measure from the inside to the inside. And it's got to be 33. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down flat and I'm going to make my measurement. Because it's not flat there, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to go at 1 inch. I have to go 34 3/4 because I went to 1 inch where it's flatter. Okay, let me make sure that it's really nice and accurate. We got it right there at the one inch line, so 34 3/4. 34 3/4 is going to be right there. I drew my line. One of the best tools that I didn't have for about 40 years. Okay, I haven't been building for that long. Find my mark, and we want this to be straight across at that 34. I'm going to take my measuring tape and do it once again. I have it at the 1 inch mark right there, so this should be 34 3/4. Yep. All right. So when I start at 1 inch, I need 34 3/4. That's where it's at. And so I have it on this side, but in order to see it on the back side, now that's where I can go ahead and measure that up right there and make my little mark on top. And now I know where I have to cut it. So I have to make sure the saw is not going to cut too much off. You always have to account for the blade. So here we go. And it cut right to the mark. We'll measure it again. 34 3/4. So I have shaved and shaved. That's one side of what will be the interior on the inside. Nice. And you see like that. All right. One done. Now we have to make the next one. Measuring the shorter section from where it tapers in, I'm getting 16 inches. Just under 16 inches. But I'm going to go 16 inches to give it maybe just a little bit of wiggle room breathing on the bigger side. I think that's going to do us fine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut off our smooth edge first. Get a nice clean cut. And then this time we're going to measure 16 inches. I'm going to go to 1. So then I can measure to 17 and we're good to go. From 1 to 17 gives us 16 inches. We are a little bit over. So I'm going to go ahead and try this one more time. Just a little bit of that blade making it ever so much shorter. Right there. There we have it. Piece number 1. I'm going to use the side-by-side test to see if these are going to be right where they need to be. They are right where they need to be. And there we go. I'm going to bring all 4 pieces in the house into my basement where it's really warm, as you can maybe tell. My breath, it's chilly out here in the garage. So we're going to go see if these all match up real nice and make a nice box for our tray. So the worst of my work is over, only because it was in a garage that was, 32 degrees, and you could see the, breath and everything, and it was pretty chilly. I had to go in a couple times and warm up my hands to continue so I wouldn't do anything stupid like cut off my fingers with the table saw and the circular saw. Now it's time to be indoors in the comfort of my pool room in the basement and put the boot tray bonsai pot together. Let's see how it turns out. And I got the first 2 boards in place. Here comes board number 3, board number 4. And if I did my cuts right, these will come together real nice. With some pressure and some glue, they are going to be really nice. So far it looks really good. Here comes the true test. We got the tray. Look at there. Not too snug. Looks like I have about a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch gap where I have plenty of space. But it's close enough together where the rim of this pot is certainly going to sit down on wood and be held real nice and sturdy. Very satisfied. I might have to go up and make the next one already and have 2 pots ready to go for 2 forests next spring. Now the question about this is how we're going to secure it. So I'm going to turn these over to have the rounded top on the bottom and the flat bottom on the top. This is how I have to put it together. So though I will glue the corners, which is just basically going to wrap around the pot itself, moving this thing, and as heavy as it's going to be, if I just glue these corners, that's certainly not going to be strong enough to support it. So I'm going to have this much extra wood from both of my bonsai pots that I make, which gives me plenty of opportunity to make some supports. So what I have to contemplate is what the legs will look like on my new pot, keeping it up off the ground, keeping that air flowing in there. So in the garage, and I was showing another example earlier, I have these leftover this was leftover pieces from a Minnesota bonsai friend of mine, and I have these nice chunks of wood that I could do a whole bunch of different things with. They're nice and thick and sturdy. I could make angled legs. I would cut the angle so it would match up nicely with the pot, and you'd see these kind of angular looking legs. Not sure how that would look. I'll have to flip it around and take a peek. The other option is to simply make a leg right here and then a leg on that side, and this with a drilling here and drilling here, drilling here and drilling there. That right there will secure this bonsai pot. And if I have enough, I can put another one in the middle for some extra support. But that wouldn't look like legs. I could also put it a little bit in, so when you see the pot, this looks like the leg. But if I put the leg right on the edge, That's going to be, this would be the leg design right there. Now I have this curved on one side and flat on the other, so the curved side could be the leg to make it a little fancier on the outside. And that would be the leg design. One here, one there, and that keeps it up off the ground a little bit. And then all underneath here would be some more aeration. Again, I could put this one in the middle for support, and it would look like I have 3 legs on this really big pot. The other idea I could also do is, because this is long enough, just barely, I could make the leg in the front to make it a little bit thicker looking pot. You'd never see the sides over here. I could put this all the way around to give it some more stability and bring it up off the ground a little bit, but the pot would actually look a little bit thicker then, and it wouldn't have this leg look. And if I put the leg just inside just a little bit, maybe I do that, so it looks like more of a leg. What I could also do is cut this piece off and just have it as literally like the leg of a couch, leg of a couch, leg of a couch, leg of a couch, and again with the screw here and here that keeps it secured, plus it's glued, and I'm going to have some internal structure as well. The other thing I have to consider is the structure on the inside. So if this is sitting up here nice, this is not going to all stay because it's not glued together, of course. Oops, wrong piece. So when this is all put together like this, and it's sitting on the lip, this boot tray won't be supported. See, that won't be supported. So what I'm going to have to do with my extra pieces is what I assumed I would have to do. Is when this is up here like this, and this is up here like this, I'm going to need some supports. And I don't know if you can tell from that camera angle, but when this is sitting here and this is here, it fits flush with this. So my guess was accurate. I was hoping that I could put supports in the middle here, so I could go ahead and have support with my drill holes, my drain holes, and then this soft, squishy piece of rubber wouldn't really bow and lose its shape. But now to put them in this way means I'd have to drill holes in the front, which again would be an eyesore. So instead, they're going to have to go this way, and I'll have at least 2 extra if I make 2 bonsai pots. I'll have 2 extra, one from this cut right here. So this piece right here is going to be extra. So this one will go from here to here and take care of that one. And then my other extra piece can go right here. Then I have 2 really nice long pieces of wood to support the structure of this bonsai tree here. So how long is this going to be? Well, it's going to be 33 3/4 because it's the size of the inner dimension of the length. So I have just enough extra wood to make number 1. I can put it right in the middle and just do 1, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put 2 on right away so I can have myself some good support from the length of this pot back and forth. And then when these are back on, my little leg idea could be either this right here, and I just cut it to fit, or I put it lengthwise like this. So some decisions to be made. Everything is in place to start putting this together. So I have my square to make sure that we're looking pretty nice and squared up here on the corners. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a pot that's going to ebb and flow with the elements of weather. I've got my 4-inch leg pieces cut out. Got those on all 4 corners. And I could glue them on as well as drill them on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a couple of pre-holes first. So I don't split these little pieces of wood. I want the drill to be in this, and then these won't split. So I'm going to let the screw go ahead and dig right into there and get a lot of strength. So what I have to do is I have to mark this and find out where I'm going to put the drill holes. And I'm going to go ahead, put one right there. It's time to put the glue on, and then we're going to tighten up the clamps, and then we're going to put on the corner braces, and we're going to let it dry for a while. Okay, while that glue is wet, see if my corner is true, and drill the first piece in. Got the bottom securely on. I got the two supports flush with the bottom. The tray fits in, goes down and hits those support beams. And there we have our pot. When the glue is done drying, we'll sand this whole thing, and we'll give it a good layer or two of some stain, a coating of some protectant varnish or something, so the raindrops will fall right through this and not destroy the wood in the first year or two. Hopefully it'll last for a little bit longer. So there we have our boot tray bonsai pot. The tamarack forest, the larch forest, is going to look really nice. I finished with all the construction. I let the glue dry for a couple of days, and then I started to stain. I put a coat of a cherry colored stain on this pre-treated lumber, brown treated lumber, deck boarding. And so I put a little cherry coating on that, and then that was good and dry. I went ahead and put on 3 coats of a polyurethane protection. So now it's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It's a little bit shinier, kind of like a glazed pot, if you will. And really that's more for the protection in the elements. So this will be a pot that sits outside on my benches. It's going to get rained on. It's going to get watered every day in the middle of summer, sometimes twice a day. So I want that water to just roll right off. So put a couple coats of poly on there, and we have a pot now that looks pretty complete. I'm pretty pleased with the end result. Everything came together pretty well. I'm a little concerned about the bottom support when things get heavy, if I add a couple rocks to this forest and the trees. But we'll have to monitor it over the course of the next couple of years. I think the important part will be maybe to slip a board underneath the pot, a couple boards, and then my son and I can lift this thing together, kind of like it was a great big heavy thing, which it will be. I probably could do it by myself, but I think I'll have to have a little help when I move it during those important times. But I like how it all turned out. I like the look of it. It'll be really nice when the larch get the new green growth in the beginning of the spring, and then at the end when it turns that fall color, we got that black rim around with the boot tray and then the kind of reddish colored pot. We'll have some colors playing off each other, and we'll see what it looks like. So as a little glimpse of what it might look like, let's do the power of post-production editing, and we'll scrunch down the top part of the video of the tray and the new boot tray pot. And then we'll get the image from the forest trimmings from the fall, and we'll kind of put that in there on the top part, and we'll see what it all might look like come springtime in a future episode, of course. Gets me super excited to look at this image. You know, it's like what it could be. Of course, it's not the best. It won't look exactly like this, but it'll look so much better in person and live when we do it the real way. But that's it for another edition of Dave's Bonsai. I thank you so much for watching. This is the final episode of what was a crazy year for all of us. 2020. Yeah, we'll never forget this one. So it is New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope you have a really amazing 2021. I hope your bonsai trees are treating you well and you have tons of success in 2021, and I can't wait to keep making more videos to share my knowledge, my trials and errors with you so you can learn as well. And as always, send me information, give me a like, give me some critiques, some comments, some suggestions, and we'll work together to make some amazing bonsai. Such a New Year's resolution. Anybody have one? Mine is just to continue to improve my bonsai art, and I hope to keep doing that for a long, long time to come. So Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for watching. As always, please be safe, and we will catch you in the new year. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try and get rid of those air pockets.